Did he respond?
Nothing.
Really?
But I don't know if I have his right email because I get an email from, it's like, a newsletter email. I
Huh?
don't know if I have a personal email.
Yeah,
So the only thing I'm
Sidor?
gonna think about doing.
I mean, you know,
I think what I'll do is on Facebook on.
we should get coffee. I mean, if
Yes.
he's someone who you're still in, I would love to get coffee with him. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm sure I can
haven't
chat to him
really been
too,
in
but.
touch with him since he left Brooklyn.
Yeah.
It's just,
No, I could email him too. I don't know that I have his, I'm sure I could find his most recent.
I'm sure.
Yeah, that doesn't totally surprise me, to be honest.
I mean, I looked and I'm like, well, the only email I had was when he was at Beth Elohim, so I don't have a personal one, but we are,
Yeah.
I see him on Facebook, so I can always like,
I think he's andybachman@gmail.com. I think he
I
is.
bet you're right.
I think he is.
But with the period between the two names, or
Right.
not?
You don't.
exactly.
You
No,
don't.
I know, but some people use it, some people don't.
Some
I
people
have
do,
it.
but
I
you
have
can,
it.
but you can email. It goes like if you write benjaminresnick@gmail.com or
Without the
Benjamin.
period?
Yeah.
really?
Yes.
I didn't know that. I
Yes.
thought-
Oh, I'm gonna-
You can actually, I believe you can actually put the period anywhere. So you can say, you can put the period after the B. The period is not.
What's the point? It's just not, it's not seen by the
I
computer.
think it's probably like some historical thing about the coding of Gmail, but hey, thank you for the salad. I'm sorry, I wasn't wearing the pants when you came.
What? Oh, well, yeah, no, and don't apologize. You
I
should
mean,
apologize if you did. answer.
If I had answered the door without any pants, that would
Yes, that was.
yeah.
Did you figure out what it was?
What's
Figure
that?
out what it was?
Oh, I told him.
It's a quinoa salad too now.
Okay.
It's a quinoa salad.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
So my first email address needed a period. I was with Verizon.
So
I
some,
had to have a
Some do,
period.
some don't. Oh, that's so
it
interesting.
must have to do with how the Gmail like
They were required.
coded it, but it is strange though. Although, but the problem with it is, so you know when you enter your email address as like your username,
Right.
so some of those do require,
Right, so you
like when you
never know what
get,
you're gonna get.
right, like when you log into like the New York Times, like it does matter.
Right. so
Even
it's
if,
just
like-
kind of-
Oh, that's
I think
interesting.
the.
I don't know, passwords, I feel like when passwords were being created, like who knew that,
It
like it's a
would be-
huge problem, like it's like.
Shabbat shalom, guys. Nice to see you.
How are you?
Good.
I've seen you guys in a while. How are you? Oh, nice. Yeah, well, Judy will.
Good, we're CTs tomorrow and we've been looking at colleges and.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
she
cool.
has-
They have PhD.
She has her.
They have 4 doors.
But we'll start.
Yeah, they're excited about it.
It's in the Northeast, you know. I don't know.
Welcome, welcome. Nice to see you. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, every month. Yeah. Yeah, we go for about.
You can sit right there, fine.
I feel the same. I'm like,
Okay, Hilly,
Going
we're gonna get started with the data on page 14 or 46. 14 or 46. Yedid nefesh hayav harachaman mishoch avdach eritzona yarutz avdach kemo ayav ishtachaveh el mul hadarach yerav lo yedidutach minofetzu vechol tam Adonai Elai ziv haolam לפניו בהרוד לנועם זבח אז תתחזק ותתרפא והייתה לה שבחת עולם ותתיימו לי 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 רחמך וחוסנה בין אוהבה כי זה כמה נצוף נקסף לראות בתפארת עוזך הנהלי מחמד ליבי חושנה ואל תתעלם יגלנה לילה ופרוס חביב עלי את סוכת שלומך תאיר ארץ לכבודך נגילה ונשמחה בך מהר ההוא כבמועד וחונני כי מעולם יאללה לי 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 יאללה לי Page 15 or 48. Arbaim shana akut bedor vaomer amto elevav hem vehem lo yadu derachai asher nishmati v'api im yonel menufati Shiru Ladonai Shir Chadash Shiru Ladonai Kol Haaretz Shiru Ladonai Baruch Shemo Basru Me'om Le'om Yeshuato Safru Vagoyim Kevodo B'chol Ha'amim Nifrot Henai Gadol Adonai Ulam Meod No Rahu Hakol Elohim Ay 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 Kikol Elohim Ha'amim Elelim Va'adonai Shamayim Masa Hod Ve'hada Lefana Hod Ve'tiferet B'mikdash Havul Adonai Mishpechot Ami Havul Adonai Kavod Va'oz Havul Adonai ישתחוו לאדוני בחדרת קודש חילו מבנה כל הארץ אמרו בגויים אדוני מעלה הבטיחו תבל בעל פיו ידין עמים במי שערים ישמחו השמיים ותגל הארץ ירם הים ומלואו יעלו שדי וכל אשר בו אז ירננו כל עציה לפני אדוני קיבה לשפוט הארץ ישפוט תבל בצדק ועמים באמונתו (17 or 51) צדק משפט מכון כיסו שומר נפשו חסידה בין הראשים יצילם וזרוע לצדיק וישרה לב שמחה שמחו צדיקים באדוני והודו לזכר קודשו מזמור שיר לאדוני שיר חדש כי נפלאות עשה הושיע לו ימינו וזרוע קודשו זכר לפני אדוני קיבה לשפוט הארץ ישפוט תבל בצדק ועמים במישרים אדוני יגזו עמים יושב קרובים תנו את הארץ אדוני בציון גדול ורמהו על כל העמים יודו שמם משה ואהרון בכהניו ושמואל בקורא שמו קוראים אל אדוני והוא יענם מעמוד ענן ידבר עליהם שמרו עדותיו וחוק נתן עמו אדוני אלוהינו אתה עניתם אל נושא היית להם ונוקם על עלילותם הרוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להר קודשו כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו 20 or 54 מזמור לדוד על אדוני מליאים הבו לאדוני כבוד ועוז הבו לאדוני כבוד שמו ישתחוו לאדוני בחדרת קודש כל אדוני על המים אל הכבוד הרים אדוני על מים Rabim Rabim Kol Adonai Bakoach Ay Kol Adonai Behadar Kol Adonai Shover Arazim Veshaver Adonai Et Azehavanom Vayarkide Kemo Egel Lebanon Vesirion Kemo Vereini Ay Kol Adonai Kol Tzevavoteis Kol Adonai Yachil Midbar Yachil Adonai Midbar HaKadesh Kol Adonai Cholel Hayalot Vayecheso Ye'arot U'Hekalo Kulo Omer Kavod Ay Adonai Lama Boyasha Vayeshev Adonai Melech Leolam Adonai Ozli Amo Yiteh Adonai Yavarech Et Amo Vashalom Ana bekoach gedulat yemincha tatir serura kaverinat amcha sagevenu kaharenu norah Ana bekoach gedulat yemincha tatir serura tatir serura kaverinat rinat amecha sagevenu tarenu norah Hi
Page 21.
Lecha dodi likrat kala yala 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 neshama mikabela hai lecha dodi likrat kala yala 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 neshama mikabela shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad hishmi'anu ham yuchad Adonai echad ושמו אחד לשם ולתפארת ולתהילה עליך דודי לקראת קלה יאללה 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 משבת מקבלה עליך דודי לקראת קלה יאללה 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 משבת מקבלה לקראת שבת לכוון אחד כי מקור הברכה המראש מקדם נסוכה סוף מעשה ומשל בצילה עליך דודי לקראת קלה יאללה 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 בשבת נקבלה עליך דודי לקראת יאללה 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 פני שבת נקבלה מקדש מלך עם מלוכה קומיצים מתוך הפתח הרב לשבת בעמק הבכה והוא יחמול עלי חמלה לך דודי לקראת עלה יאללה 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 פני שבת נקבלה היי היי לך דודי לקראת קלה יאללה 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 פני שבת נקבלה התנערי מעפר קומי לבשי בגדי תפארתך עמי כי היד בנישי בית הלחמי קורא אל נפשי גאלה לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה התעוררי כי באורי קומי אורי שיר דברי כבוד אדוני עלי נגלה לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה לא תבושי ולא תלחמי מה תשתוכחי ומה תהמי בך יחסו אני העמי ונבטריר אל תילה לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה והיו לנשיסה שועשי ורחקו כל מפעלי יסיס עלי אלוהי כמסור שטן על קלה לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה ימין ושמאל תפרוצי ואת אדוני תעריצי על יריב בין פרצי ונשמחה ונגילה לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה בואי לשלום עטרת בעלה גם בשמחה ובשמחה טוב אמוני עם סגולה בואי חלה לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה '23 or '59. Mizmor Shalom HaShabbat. Ki something. Agadlu. Mahasechaya Meodam Kumashivotecha Magadu Mahasechaya Meodam Kumashivotecha Tzadikata Hamar Yifra Keres Balvanon Yitzke Shituli Bebeit Adonai Bechasrot Eloheinu Yafrichu Od Yenuvu Beseva Deshenim Veranani Yehu Lehagi Ki Ashar Adonai Zuri Veloatavo Adonai Mikalot Ma'im Ma'im Rabim Adirim Adirim Mitzvah Mikalot Ma'im Ma'im Rabim Adirim Adirim Mitzvah Adir Bamarom Ainai Adir Bamarom Ainai Adir Bamarom Adonai Lai 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 Adir Bamarom Ainai Adir Bamarom Ainai Adir Bamarom Adonai Edo Techem Nemnu Meod Virchan Avakodesh Adonai Leorech Yamin
This week we observed the Yartzeit of Herbert Lewin, father of Sybil Rosenberg, Max Schreiber, father of Gloria Staple, Alan Dreyfus, brother-in-law of Eleanor Dreyfus, Nathaniel Goldberg, brother of Eleanor Dreyfus, Paul Goldiner, husband of Mary Goldiner, Morris Mayerson, father of Howard Mayerson, Esther Rudder, aunt of Eleanor Dreyfus, Miriam Stern, grandmother of Joe Goldenberg, David Goldreich, father of Gloria Horowitz, Gustav Drahler, father of Michael Drahler, and also Branya Fink, Anna Labouche, and Rose Schnackrout, who are memorialized on our board. I'll also make mention of Neil Terrence of blessed memory, a beloved cousin of Dan Cabin, who died just last Saturday night. May his memory always be a blessing, and may all those who mourn him be comforted among those who mourn for Zion and Jerusalem. Mourner's Kaddish is on page 24. Yitzgadal v'yitzgadash Shemei Rabbah. Be'alma divra kirute v'yamlich malchute bechayechon uv'yomechon uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael ba'gala uv'izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei rabba mevorach leolam olamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalei v'yitalal shmei dekudsha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shalama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Good Shabbos, everyone. Welcome. In a moment, we'll be really privileged to hear from Alexander Zabialo, who is here with his wife Marina and their youngest daughter Veronica. They also have 3 other daughters, Valentina, Anastasia, and Victoria. And Yelena, Alexander's sister-in-law, is going to translate for him as he shares his story. I want to frame this just very briefly in a couple of different ways and about why I think this is so important to Jewish communities and to all communities. The first thing I will say is, some of you know this because I probably shared it before, but one of my most prized possessions, truly, is a T-shirt that says Full Moon Story Slam, which was a story slam up in northern Massachusetts. And the only way you get this T-shirt is if you win the story slam. And it is truly one of my most prized. I think there is something so incredibly important and powerful about hearing people's stories. And Alexander, thank you so much for sharing yours with us today. It's really a privilege. Alexander recently came with his family from Ukraine, as I'm sure he'll talk about. And I just want to share just one word of Torah on Refugee Shabbat. So thank you to WJCI, the Westchester Jewish Coalition for Immigration, and HIAS for putting together Refugee Shabbat each year, and we're delighted and honored to participate in that. And when we're talking about the importance of responding to the refugee crisis from a Jewish perspective, it's really like it's like, which Torah do you choose? Like, sometimes it's like you're struggling to come up with something to say, and this is like, well, gosh, it's like you could do the thing about how Avram starts his career with Lech lecha me'artzecha, go forth from your land, or you could do the thing where the only thing Israelites are said to say in the temple is Arami Oved Avi. My father was a refugee Aramean. I know there's a midrash about that means something else, but that's what that means in context. Or you could go with the 36 times that we're told to recognize, welcome the stranger, which is way more than any other mitzvah. But I'm going to go with, I suppose, my favorite, because I think it's so powerful and I've shared it before, but if the Torah says it 36 times a year, I can say it at least twice. And that is this, which is that there's a verse in Dvarim which says, Lo taskir eved el adonav, don't return a fleeing slave to his master, Asher yinatzeh lecha me'im adonav, who fled from you from his master. And the rabbis don't know why it says master twice, because it says, well, he fled from you. He says, don't return a slave to his master who fled from his master. You say, well, who else are you going to return him to? What gives? Why is there the doubling of the word there? And the Gemara has a really, really extraordinary midrash about this. And to understand the midrash, you need to understand 2 things. The first is that the Torah spends a great deal of time talking about borders. The borders of the land. A great deal of time defining the borders of the land. Why? Because that's Adonai's jurisdiction in the Tanakh. Maybe other parts of the world as well, but particularly that is God's jurisdiction, that land. And we want to know what the borders of that land are. Why? Well, says the Gemara, something extremely remarkable. Why does it say Adonai? Why does it say master twice in that verse? Well, in order to understand this, you have to understand the second thing, which is just a very little bit about the biblical slave system. And it's a 2-tiered system. There's what's called an Eved Yisrael, a Jewish slave, and an Eved Kanani, a non-Jewish slave. The Eved Yisrael is like an indentured servant who's supposed to serve you for 7 years and then goes 3. The Eved Kanani is chattel, who you actually are, the Torah says explicitly you're supposed to own forever. That's what it says. That's what it says. Comes the Gemara and says, well, the fact that the Torah says this master twice teaches us something very, very important. It says that even if a Canaanite slave who you are supposed to own forever flees from his Jewish master from outside the land, let's say in Greece, to the land, you should not return him. What it means is that the borders of the land, the borders of God's country, are an end zone. It's not a border actually to keep you out. It's a border so that you should know that once you cross over into that border, you are safe. You are safe. It's an extraordinary teaching. It is a teaching that is so deeply Jewish, and it's our job as Jews, and I think as Americans, but really as Jews, to make sure there are end zones in the world and there are places where God has jurisdiction, which means that people are welcome and cared for. And so in that spirit, it is my distinct honor to invite up Alexander to share a little bit of his story, and Yelena will translate for him. Oh, yeah, sure. If you're gonna sit, maybe try to. There are some people maybe watching, so maybe try to.
Maybe sit closer.
Yeah, maybe sit there.
Можешь присаживаться. Okay, я тебе стол выбила. I said, I got you a chair. No, it's okay.
And if you're gonna translate, maybe talk.
Yes, I'll talk here.
Я так не всех вижу. Good evening, everyone. My name is Alexander Zabialo. This is my wife, Marina. This is my little daughter, Veronica. Veronica was born here in America on February 4th. January 4th. My English is bad.
He's trying.
Yes, this is my sister, Elena. She will be my interpreter.
Ну, очень хорошо сказал.
До войны мы жили в Украине, в городе Харьков.
So before the war, they lived in Ukraine, in city of Kharkov, or Kharkiv.
Это достаточно большой город, второй город по размерам в Украине.
It's second biggest city in Ukraine.
И первый город по науке.
And first city in terms of the science,
Это индустриальный город, в котором очень много заводов.
many factories and
И он первый
plants.
по экономике в
And
Украине.
first in economy in Ukraine.
Но беда в том, что он находится в 40 километрах от границы с Россией.
The problem for this city is it's very close to the border with Russia.
В городе очень развита транспортная инфраструктура и есть метрополитен.
The city has good public transportation and a metro, like a subway.
Забегая вперед, скажу, что это спасло очень много людей.
Which saved a lot of people.
Они могли укрываться в метро,
The subway is very deep, and
когда
people
были
were
ракетные обстрелы.
hiding there from the missiles and rockets. In there.
У меня большая семья.
I have a big family.
Моя жена и 4 дочери, 4 маленьких дочери.
My wife and 4 daughters.
Старшая дочь Валентина, ей 18 февраля исполнится 14 лет.
The oldest Valentina, she's going to have birthday in February, какого?
18.
Oh, February 18th, she's going to turn 14 years old.
Анастейжа, ей
Anastasia,
11 лет.
she's 11,
И Виктория,
and Victoria,
ей исполнится 15 февраля 8 лет.
she's going to turn 8 February 15th.
And Вероника.
Veronica is 1 month old.
Мы жили очень счастливо.
We were very happy in Ukraine.
Наши дети ходили на различные кружки, секции,
Our children went to different extracurricular activities,
на танцы, на футбол.
ballroom dancing.
У нас был очень большой дом с
We
бассейном.
had very big house with a pool.
У нас было все. У нас с женой был,
We had everything with my wife.
был собственный бизнес,
We had our own business.
рыбный бизнес.
It's
Мы занимались сушеной рыбой
it's a fish production of fish products
и морепродуктами, такими
and
как крабы,
seafood, like
креветки
crabs and
и икра разных пород рыб.
shrimp and caviar, different sorts of caviar.
Все это закончилось 24 февраля 22 года.
I'm sorry. It all ended. You know when it all ended, February 22. Саша, ты меня довел. Why are you saying this?
Мы с женой
Sorry.
проснулись в 5 утра
We woke up 5 o'clock in the morning that day
от сильных взрывов,
from the explosions that they heard.
от того, что стены дрожали, как
Да.
при землетрясении.
It was like an earthquake where the walls were shaking.
Тут же позвонила моя сестра Елена
I received call from my sister,
и попросила, чтобы мы быстрее
and
уезжали.
I was asking them to leave right away
Потому что в Америке по новостям уже сказали, что Путин напал на Украину.
because in America there were news that the war began. Sorry,
Мы разбудили детей,
touch you for me. I don't know. I've heard it a few
мы
times.
разбудили детей, которые мирно спали.
We woke the children.
Быстро собрали вещи, документы.
Quickly collected, gathered some things and documents,
И отправились в путь.
and went on their journey in the car.
Надо сказать, что очень много людей хотели выехать из города,
He has to say that many people were trying to escape the city at that point
потому что было мало времени на это, так как российские войска уже подошли вплотную к городу.
It was very little time because of the proximity. The Russian troops were already at the suburbs of the city on the first day.
На дорогах образовались огромные пробки,
They
и
had,
машины двигались со скоростью 5 миль в час.
So they were moving 5 miles an hour. There were traffic jams everywhere.
Сестра попросила нас ехать в Польшу.
I asked them to go to Poland.
Она договорилась со своими знакомыми в Польше, чтобы нас приняли
She found connections in Poland where
и
her friend
предоставили жилье на первое время.
had a relative who provided lodging for the first few weeks.
Когда мы ехали, по радио стали поступать сообщения, что через Киев ехать уже нельзя.
So when they were on the road, they were getting through the radio signals that you shouldn't go through Kiev
Так как там уже шли бои, и российские войска
because
практически
there
уже
were
были
fighting going on. There
вокруг
was fighting
города.
going on in that region, and it was dangerous to move through that. Although it's just for me, it's closest way to Poland border.
Нам пришлось изменить свой маршрут и поехать более длинной дорогой в направлении западной границы,
So they had to
в сторону
turn.
Львова.
They had to make a way around Kiev, and took some time to get to the border.
Ехали мы очень долго, потому что нам надо было часто останавливаться. Я забыл сказать, что у нас есть любимец, собачка, бишон, породы
They
бишон
had to,
фризе по имени
they had to
Джеффри.
make a lot of stops because of children, and they also have a small dog with them.
Yes, нам надо было останавливаться, чтобы прогулять собаку,
Yeah, they had to stop to walk the dog and to eat,
покушать, сходить в туалет.
bathroom, eat something, and get going.
Также мы не могли ехать ночью,
They couldn't move at night as well.
потому что
There
это
were
было
curfew.
достаточно опасно. И спать в машине было очень тесно.
They had to sleep in the car sometimes.
Потом мы пытались найти ночлег.
They tried to find lodging. It was very difficult.
Границу Евросоюза мы пересекли только 1 марта,
So on March 1st, they finally crossed the border.
так как и на таможенных переходах были очень большие
They had
очереди.
long lines on border crossings
Люди
everywhere.
сутками стояли в очередях.
To European Union, there were very long lines. People waited for days sometimes.
В Польше нас приняли очень хорошо.
In Poland, they were greeted very well
Знакомые моей
By-
сестры
by my
помогли
friends.
устроить детей в школу,
They put children straight
предоставили нам
into school
комнату для
as soon as
проживания.
they settled there.
И мы
And
начали
they gave them a
жить в
one room
Польше.
in their house. It was tight, but
Мы прожили в Польше 3,5 месяца.
they lived there for 3.5 months.
И все время надеялись и ждали, когда Америка
They
предоставит
were
для
hoping that
украинцев беженство.
they could come to America, to me, where I could help them more, of course.
Когда открылся статус U4U,
So there
Мы
was a program Uniting for Ukraine.
мы
That,
сразу подали документы,
so as soon as it was opened, they applied for that program
и
and
через
were
месяц
admitted.
получили разрешение на въезд в Америку.
And after 1 month, they received permission to travel to America. This is a
В
temporary
Америку мы
parole.
прилетели 14 июня.
June 14th, they arrived.
По приезду в Америку мы практически сразу, благодаря моей сестре, познакомились с волонтерской организацией «Ресет».
When they arrived, almost immediately, because of help from me, and I found Holly, who is a representative of Jewish Coalition for Immigration of Westchester,
Моя сестра познакомилась с ними.
and she found them a volunteer organization for us to help this family.
Я очень благодарен моей сестре,
And I'm very grateful to my sister.
так как она выступила спонсором.
Because I sponsored them to come in here and found them this organization.
Волонтеры нам очень сильно помогли.
Volunteers helped us a
жильем.
lot with the lodging.
Нам помогли найти жилье,
They found them a house to live in.
продукты, предметы
They helped them with
быта,
the food,
одежду
some clothing,
и многое другое.
and many other things like school, for example.
Мы с женой очень рады, что наши дети практически не застали войну.
My wife and I are very glad that our children were not exposed to the war.
На сегодняшний день в Украине уже в этой войне погибло больше 800 детей.
Up to now, Ukraine had over 800 children died in this war.
Сейчас мои дети счастливы.
So right now, my children are very happy here.
Нам очень повезло, мои дети,
We got
наших детей
lucky.
приняли в хорошую католическую школу.
We
В
got
Рае.
lucky with the school. They were accepted in a private Catholic
Она
school in
называется
Westchester.
Resurrection.
Resurrection Grammar School in Rye.
Моя старшая дочь Валентина заканчивает в этом году 8 класс
Valentina is finishing middle school this year,
и должна пойти в
And
high
sh-
school.
and she will go to high school in Connecticut. Because that school doesn't have high school, just clarification.
Недавно в Гринвиче в школе Sacred Heart был день открытых дверей.
So they visited the School of Sacred Heart, open door
Мы
day.
ездили туда,
They went there.
познакомились со школой.
They
Мы хотим, чтобы наша дочь там
showed them around the
училась.
school, and
Ей
they are
очень-
ready to accept her.
Ей
in
очень
high school.
понравилось.
So she's very happy to go to that school as well. She liked it very much.
Также наши дети ходят здесь на волейбол.
So two of the children go to and they play volleyball in school.
И занимаются в репетициях
And-
спектакля
And they
«Вилли Вонка и
also
шоколадная
part
фабрика».
of a school theater performance.
«Вилли Вонка и
Willy
шоколадная
Wonka.
фабрика».
Yes.
Yes. Им очень нравится это
They
занятие.
love it very much. Yes.
Мы очень счастливы, мы очень благодарны американскому народу
I'm very grateful to American people
за поддержку Украины
for the support to Ukraine
и за поддержку нашей семьи в
And,
это трудное
for-
время.
specifically for help to the family.
Такая
To
моя
the family.
история.
That's the
на
story up
сегодняшний
to now.
день. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ничего, что
I'm
не
sorry,
забыл.
I'm so emotional about this.
Вроде
I just
ничего не забыл.
can't help it. У тебя там еще семья есть в Украине?
В Украине остались родные Марины.
There are some
Родная,
relatives of his wife,
родная
Marina.
сестра с семьей,
Her sister with the family.
муж и 2 детей.
So a sister, a husband and 2 children.
Также оставалась мама Марины,
So her mom also stayed up until recently,
но
and she had to move.
сейчас она уже выехала. Она
Now
выехала во
she left
Францию.
Ukraine as well, and she's staying in France.
Who facilitated the trip from Poland to the United States?
From Poland to United States, there is a program called Uniting for Ukraine that this administration, current administration, came up with to bring people quickly and kind of unload European Union, because there were like millions of people in Poland, for example, over 5 million people at that point. So there was a program, and I applied as a sponsor, and I was approved, and I was able to bring them over.
You need a sponsor now.
Yes, you have to have a sponsor in order to be able to travel here. Although some people cross through Mexican border at the beginning. I don't know about now, but at the beginning, we actually know some people who crossed there without sponsor. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you
Any
very
other
much.
questions?
Thank you.
Yes.
Is he able to find work or?
Ты можешь найти работу.
Мне немного не повезло, когда я приехал в Америку. Так получилось, что я занес инфекцию в свой организм и попал в госпиталь.
He got unlucky when he got here. He was infected with a bacteria and had sepsis, and he spent a lot of time in a hospital.
Инфекция поразила мою нервную систему.
So infection
И
got some of his
у меня
nervous
очень сильно
system
болит спина.
that still is recovering, and he is looking into surgery for his hand
Я
where
не
he's
могу
got
долго
infected.
сидеть.
He can't
долго
sit for a long
стоять,
time
долго
or stand for a
ходить.
long time. He can't do it. So he would love to work.
Моя
But not now
реабилитация,
yet.
моя реабилитация идет очень медленно, но я все равно надеюсь, что скоро я смогу полноценно работать.
So my rehabilitation is slowly progressing, but he's hoping that he's gonna be able to start working soon.
8 февраля я успешно сдал экзамен на
He passed the
получение
driver's
прав для
test. He
вождения.
has a driver's license. He can drive. He can
Where are you
drive
staying now?
in Portchester. Yeah, the volunteers were able to find a house that was for 1 year. It's free.
Maybe one more question from now?
No question.
More questions?
I'll throw one more question.
Okay.
What kind of resources and things can the family use? What do they need?
Какие ресурсы вам необходимы, чтобы вы использовали их? Что вам нужно?
Нам помогают. Нам
Said
помогают.
they're getting help. They're getting help.
Нам помогают и на продукты,
Yeah.
и пока помогают с жильем.
Yeah. He said that
До
they
июля-
have
до-
food, they have clothing from the volunteer organizations and the
До
housing.
июля месяца у нас есть
But
жилье.
until July, they have this house, and then they're gonna have no lodging.
Who
So
covers the medical expenses?
Medical expense, we actually opened Medicaid because they don't have income. They're eligible. apparently. No, this is regular Medicaid. They switched to a program right away to be covered in Westchester. Вы хотите потом вернуться в Украину или хотите остаться здесь?
На сегодняшний день у нас желание остаться.
As things are now, that they have a desire to stay.
Мы хотим остаться. Нам нравится в Америке, нам нравятся люди,
They like America, they like people here.
очень доброжелательные,
They're
отзывчивые.
very open-hearted and how to say it? Very open, like welcoming.
И сейчас в Украине практически невозможно нормально жить.
In Ukraine, it's practically impossible to have normal life right now.
Харьков ежедневно находится под обстрелами, под
Kharkov,
бомбежками.
almost daily, it's getting bombed. It was today was also bombing.
Is there a sizable Ukrainian community here in Westchester?
Здесь большое такое украинское комьюнити, ну как бы.
В Порчестере нет.
Not in Portchester. In Yonkers, yes.
Янкерс.
Not in Portchester. They go to Ukrainian church in Yonkers sometimes for Sundays. Mhm. Thank you.
Все?
Please rise for a short Ma'ariv beginning on page 28 or 64. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Adonai. You may be seated. Umavir yom umevi laila umavdil ben yom uben laila Adonai tzevot shemo el chai v'kayam taminu l'chaleinu le'olam va'ed baruch atah Adonai amari v'arabim avat olam v'tirim כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו והם נגע יומם ולילה ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד ואהבת את המלך. Adonai Elohechem Emet, 32 or 70. Umalchut beratzon kibelu aleihem Osher Miriam uvnei Yisrael echanu shira b'simcha rabba ve'amru chulam mi kamocha v'helim Adonai mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh norati lo tosef lemalchutecha ra'uvanecha boker yam livnei Moshe zeli anu ve'amiru Adonai imloch leolam va'ed v'nemar ki fadana Yaakov ugalo mi'al chazak mimenu baruch at Adonai gal Yisrael Yashkivenu Ushmor tzeitenu vo'enu l'chaim ol shalom etav yad olam Ufros aleinu sukat shalom echa baruch at Adonai Hapore sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim V'shameru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat לעשות את השבת לדורותם בריד עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל הותיר לעולם כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ וביום השביעי שבת וינפש יתגדל ויגדש מרבה ועמד יברא קירותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל בעגלה ובזמן קריב אמרו אמן יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה יתברך וישבח ויפאר וישמע וינשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלה שמי לקודשה בריחו לעילמים כל ברכתה ושירתה ושמחתה ונחמתה דמירם בעלמא ואמרו amen. The formal text of the Amidah begins on page 35 or 76. It is also an appropriate time for private prayers and reflections. Yaseh shalom bimromav, Yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, imru, amen. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Bimru, amen. We'll continue on page 48 with Kaddish Shalem. Yitkada v'kadash shemei rabba ve'amad yivra kirushei ve'emlich malchutei v'chayechonu v'yamechonu v'chaydecho b'Yisrael v'agalav zman kariv imru amen yesh mei rabba mivorach le'olam alal me'al maya Yiparach v'shabak v'par v'shram min asei v'tada v'dalei v'dalash shmei d'kudsha b'rechol eila mikol b'chata v'shirata d'shpechata v'nechemata d'amram v'amam v'imru amen dikabel tzodon v'atan d'cho Yisrael konam v'shmaya v'imru amen yesh v'aman shmaya v'chem aleinu v'kol Yisrael v'imru amen oseh shalom b'mromav yaseh shalom aleinu v'kol Yisrael v'kol Yishvei tevel v'imru amen. Kiddush is on page 49 or 93. Aviv, can I prevail upon you to help me with Kiddush? Wonderful. Is it grape juice? It is. Even better. Okay. You say separate. L'chaim. Eloheinu melech haolam, borei bri hagafim, baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzav hanu, v'shavat kodsho be'avav ratzon hinchilanu, zikaron l'maaseh b'reishit, ki hu yom techila lemikra'e kodesh, zecher letziad Mitzrayim, kivanu v'charta v'yotanu kidashta mikol ha'amim, v'shavat kodshecha be'ahava u'ratzon hinchaltanu, baruch atah Mekadesh Hashem. Amen. Now you gotta drink a little bit of it. Aleinu leshabeach ladon hakol. It's okay. Take gedula leotzer reishit. Shalom asanu k'royei haratzot. Velo samanu k'mishpechot ha'adama. Shelo sam chelkeinu kahem. V'gor aleinu kechol hamonam. V'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim. Lifnei melech malchei hamlachim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shenu Shema V'yosem Moshe V'gam Rosh Hashanah V'sveinat Tazon. Kagadu b'Torah Tech Adonai Yimloch Le'olam V'Aher V'Ne'emar V'Haya Adonai L'Melech Al Kol Haaretz B'Yom Hahu B'Yom Hahu Yeh Adonai Echad Hu Shemo Hu Shemo Hu Shemo Before we continue with Mourner's Kaddish, I'll also make mention of the sad news from Yerushalayim today. 2 Israelis were the victims of a terrorist attack on Friday morning, I believe, including a 6-year-old child. And my thoughts, and I'm sure many of our thoughts, are with them and their families, and hope and pray that they find comfort Mourner's Kaddish is on page 52. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah be'alma divra kirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael ba'gala u'v'zman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam u'lalmei almaya Yiparach v'yishtabach v'yitpar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh Vitadar, vitale, vitalal, shmei dekudsha brechu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shelama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom. Haleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Before I invite Steve up to make our weekly announcements, I do want to share sort of a slightly longer announcement, not too long, but sort of the most important announcement for tonight, which is that the PJC, all of us, I hope, are going to try to take on the extremely important and challenging work of resettling a family. As many of you know, we've been involved with this with Hearts and Homes for Refugees over the past year. And this year, the hope and the plan is to really take own leadership over helping resettle a new family. It's going to be a lot of work. But it is, I think, there are so many different causes and ways in which the world is in need. And it is my opinion that the refugee crisis is just about the most authentically a Jewish cause to be involved with. Not that hunger is important, all of these things are important, but this is such a core part of Jewish experience and Jewish identity, and I know that we can do this. Melody's going to come up and share a little bit about the project, and yeah. So.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you again for joining us. I don't know if all of you know my family, refugees from Munkachevo. My husband's family is from Uzhhorod, so once Czech, now Ukraine. So, what? Uzhhorod. Thank you. I first want to say thank you to the people like Mimi who took such a huge role in resettling 2 Afghani families in New Rochelle. And now we are going to take on as a project a resettlement of a family from the Ukraine. The plan is to sort of gear up in April or so. So you'll be hearing a lot more about that from the group of us who have formed around this project. But that's a small group, and all that means is that we'll take some kind of immediate leadership role, but we won't be able to do it without a lot of help from all of the congregants at the PJC, the many thousands of us. I am certain that we are small but mighty, that we'll be able to take on this project with all our hearts and maybe our wallets. So I'm personally really looking forward to working with all of you on this project as we move forward. So you'll be hearing a lot more about it in the
And just
weeks
one
ahead.
thing that so we're going to partner again. We're going to be supported by Hearts and Homes again. And one thing Hearts and Homes has said is basically we need like 10 really core co-captains of the ship. We have 6 already committed. Melanie, Mike, and
Almost 2/3.
it's
We need
almost-
a half a person to reach 2/3.
Exactly, right. So if you're interested in being part of this, please let us know. Melanie, Mike, Matt Marcus, Mimi, and Rhonda Singer so far have been sort of in the lead, and David Sasson has joined us, and so and Jackie Stein has also joined us, so we're at 7, and I know this is something we can and should do, and so thank you all. Just quickly, again, before I invite Steve, those of you who are coming to my house for dinner afterwards to spend a little bit more time with Alexander and Marina and Yelena and Veronica, if she's coming, she's welcome. We're going to leave here pretty quickly, hopefully, after this, so that my kids don't turn into total pumpkins by the end of dinner. And you guys all know where I live, 804 Wolf's Lane. Steve will come on up and make the
Brief announcements.
Yes.
Thank you. It's very inspiring. Actually, the main thing I just mentioned is tomorrow services start at 10 a.m., not 9:30. Otherwise, the rest you can find on the announcements. We conclude with Yigdal.
Short and sweet. Yigdal Elohim Chai ve'yishtabach nimtza v'einei el mitziuto echad ve'en yachid ke'yechudo ne'lam